Live from Lookout Mountain, it's the place for news, starting now.
First at 5, Vice President Pence in Tulsa visiting some flooded areas hit the hardest and meeting families in desperate need of help. He was at the food bank today thanking volunteers who've gone the extra mile to help their neighbors in need. And the Vice President reassuring us that the federal government is here to help out. Channel 8's Maureen Ward spent the day with Pence. She joined us now live at Tulsa International Airport. Maureen, what impression did Pence get of Oklahomans?
Mark, that Oklahomans are resilient. You can see the last 2 cargo planes just over my shoulder. When Vice President Pence left around 3 o'clock this afternoon, he told us he'd be taking a message to President Trump that Oklahomans stepped up to help out each other, and the federal government should too. His message today.
We'll bring it back, okay? Can I give you a hug?
Thank you, and we're with you.
And we're going to stay with them in places like town and country and all over the state until we rebuild these communities bigger and better than ever before.
Vice President Mike Pence seeing firsthand the results of the devastating flooding in Sand Springs.
Well, it's just remarkable to see the water levels and the speed with which they came up. I heard from some residents here that they had less than 3 hours notice.
An overwhelming visit for Christy Hill. Her 80-year-old parents live here.
I never thought I'd meet anybody in Washington because I'm really not a big politics person, okay? I'm not big on politicians, but this does mean a lot.
Pence giving his word that the government will be there.
Be able to emphasize to the families that help is on the way.
But that's not all he gave.
Semper Fi, we got a Marine in our house, too.
Yeah, I will. I will.
Okay.
Semper Fi, do or die. There you go.
Thank you.
The resilience of Oklahomans on display for the world to see.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. My dad's going to be, he's going to be going rock on. So, yeah.
A lot of people grateful to talk with Pence today. Now, Pence said there were 800 either storm warnings, flooding events, severe weather events in the month of May in Oklahoma alone. That's quite the number. Live at Tulsa International Airport, Maureen Wirtz, Tulsa's Channel 8.
Yeah, it was quite a month, Maureen. Thank you. Today we spoke with Congressman Kevin Hurd about Pence's visit during Good Morning Oklahoma. This comes as the $19 billion disaster aid bill now heads to the president's desk. It's aimed at helping Oklahoma's hit by tornadoes and floods. Hurd says with Pence meeting with some of the families in need today, it could help push the president to sign that bill.
You hear the stories personally. It's devastating. It's heartbreaking. The president, Pence, the Vice President Pence, is certainly one to go out and shake hands with folks and listen to these stories firsthand. And it will make a indelible mark on his mind as he goes forward and looks at this as the administration, signs off on this package be on their desk very soon.
U.S. House passed that bill late last night. Tonight, a story you'll see only on 8, the floods now impacting law enforcement.
I get the devastation that the flood took, but you still have other people in the community that need help too.
Those words from a hit-and-run victim. Detectives tell us they haven't investigated the case yet because they were helping with the flooding. Channel 8's Haley Huey sat down with a couple who won't give up until the driver is caught.
I don't know how we're going to survive it.
Jason and Jody Hill now dealing with the effects of someone choosing the easy way out.
He deserves to pay for what he did. Like, he could have killed us.
This diagram of the accident from Tulsa police shows car number 1 getting on I-44 near East Skelly Drive and South Yale Avenue over the grass median and hitting the hills. The hills spun out and hit a trailer truck in front of them, then the concrete barrier.
I will never forget looking over at the driver's side and seeing him laying there just lifeless. I honestly thought he was gone.
The worst part, they woke up in the hospital to the news that the man who hit them in a white Suburban didn't stay.
He had no regard for life at all, or else he would have stopped. In my mind, the guy that was driving that SUV is a monster.
Police say they have no leads because they haven't had time to look into the case. Their officers have been focused on the flooding and the days of recovery that lie ahead.
I'm not saying that the flood is anywhere near not important, but you don't put all your resources into one area where nobody else can get help if needed.
TPD says when their city is in a state of emergency, there's no other choice.
Somebody out there's got to know something. Somebody had to have seen in the area Somebody has to know who this is.
The Hills beg anyone with information to come forward and be on the lookout for a white Suburban with damage in the back. Talked to the detective on this case this afternoon. They will soon be able to start investigating the Hills crash. Officers are slowly getting back to their normal shifts after what's been a busy 2 weeks. Mark?
Haley, thank you. 8's on your side with a warning tonight. The Tulsa County Sheriff's Office says potential scammers and out-of-state contractors are targeting flood-damaged neighborhoods. Remember, ask for identification and proof of certification. You can check them out with the Oklahoma Insurance Commission, and if they seem suspicious, call the Sheriff's Office or the police. We've been raising money as a station for flood victims, and thanks to many of you and your donations, we've raised almost $50,000. We partnered with the Salvation Army, who's on the front line helping to make a difference for both homeowners and workers. You can still donate. Just go to KHL.com, look for the Sinclair Cares tab at the top of the page. Donations will be collected through tomorrow. An overturned semi-truck carrying cattle leaves one man fearing for his life in Pawnee County today. The passenger trapped in the semi's cab for more than 6 hours, suffering great leg damage. At one point, first responders thought they might have to amputate. Channel 8's Angelica Brown reports the accident shut down Highway 412 for most of the day.
Lining the edges of Highway 412.
We have multiple engines, a ladder, a rescue truck, multiple support cars as well.
All in an effort to save a man trapped by a guardrail inside his semi-cab.
When you're dealing with a human pinned in a vehicle, you know, that's a touchy situation.
It was all hands on deck as these crews tried to figure out how exactly they plan to move him.
We had to be very careful as they cut and move, you know, because you don't want your tools to come in contact with him.
It was around 5 this morning when this all started. The driver and his passenger blew a tire while hauling cattle. The truck skid off the road, ran into a sign, and landed on its side.
The driver has already been removed and is being transported currently, and that life flight is on the way as they're continuing to work to free this other individual.
More than 6 hours later, he was on the helicopter headed to the hospital for treatment to his legs. But that wasn't the end. Cleanup efforts now in full swing as crews work to move the cattle that survived.
The trauma from rolling the truck over and then the fact that you're going to have animals laying on top of each other, yeah, it's unfortunate.
A loss of cattle and a close call for the men who were inside, but at least both of them walking away with their lives. Angelica Brown, Tulsa's Channel 8.
Tonight, both the driver and the passenger are recovering at St. John Medical Center. As for the cattle, crews say at least a few of them died.
From the Oklahoma Ford Storm Center, your first warning forecast, certified as Tulsa's most accurate weather.
Ended up being a pretty nice summer day. Temperatures made their way to around average in the mid to upper 80s, but some spots it saw a little rain today. Mark.
All right, Katie, thank you. Now to what's happening on Capitol Hill. Lawmakers there are promising a top-to-bottom review of giant tech companies like Apple, Amazon, Google, and Facebook. Channel 8's Angelica Alvarez reports there's a big question tonight. Are they getting too big?
Facebook owns Instagram, Amazon, and you have Google owning YouTube.
When you think of tech companies, you can't help but think of a short list of companies.
Facebook, Google, Apple, and Amazon.
That short list sparked the chairman of the antitrust subcommittee to announce a bipartisan investigation.
To look at instances of anti-competitive conduct, of kind of disregard for privacy interests of consumers, to look at whether consumers retain control of their data.
Are we allowing the market to work? Are we allowing new companies to rise up?
This move comes after the U.S. Justice Department is reportedly preparing an investigation into whether Google has broken any antitrust laws, according to Reuters. Apple CEO Tim Cook tells CBS News he thinks scrutiny is fair.
I don't think anybody reasonable is going to come to the conclusion that Apple's a monopoly. Our share is much more modest. We don't have a dominant position in any market.
In a tweet, presidential candidate Senator Elizabeth Warren says she has a plan to break up big tech companies.
I think that's part of what is being argued there. But that's an argument, Nora, that takes you down the path that Walmart shouldn't be stocking a alternative or house brand.
Many have compared this investigation to when the Bell Telephone Company was deemed a monopoly and broken up by the U.S. Justice Department. Lawmakers say in this case they don't know what the possible solutions are, but say nothing is off the table. Reporting from Capitol Hill, I'm Angelica Alvarez.
Still to come, you saw Jeopardy James' difficult loss yesterday right here on Tulsa's Channel 8. Now he's speaking out about that moment and wishing good luck to the new champ. Plus, was his loss leaked? The show's executive producer commenting on that.
The infamous Crybaby Hill is happening. It's a thing. The party's going to go on.
That's right, Tulsa Tough is happening. We talked to the event coordinator for what's in store. Plus, there's a catch. With all this flooding, they're having to change the route.